everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be showing you my top 5 absolute favorite eyeshadow palettes, ones that I just can't live without and that are just like staples in my collection. So if you're interested, then just keep watching. Alright, so the first palette I am going to mention today, I think probably a lot of people have. It's pretty affordable, but I just love this palette. I mean, I'm sure you could guess, the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I got this the day that it came out because I was so excited and so proud of Jaclyn. And I literally used this eyeshadow palette pretty much all summer. Like literally all summer. I'll show you the colors if you haven't already seen like a million reviews on this. I think the shades are gorgeous. I think you have an array of colors that you could literally create anything with. I mean, you've got your colors, you've got your bright colors, but then you have like so many neutral shades. And if I had to pick like one eyeshadow palette to take with me on like a vacation or just something that I could create literally anything with, any season, I would pick this palette. I think the pigmentation is absolutely fantastic. I think Morphe eyeshadows in general really have, you know, are bang for your buck. And I just love the products. I think they're reasonable, and if you use like one of the YouTubers discount codes, you can get 10% off, so might save you a couple bucks. You know, a lot of people might have mixed opinions about the brand, but me personally, I really love this eyeshadow palette. So as you can tell, I have made quite the dent in a couple of these. This eyeshadow right here reminds me a lot of MAC Nylon eyeshadow, which is like my favorite inner corner brow bone highlight shade. I use this pink shade all over my lid today. It's so pretty. Like I could just, you know, put it on my lid and like put some bronzer in my crease, and it's a pretty like everyday look. I love this like kind of peachy bronze shade. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's like real, you know, you can create like a real summery look with it. And I love this shade right here to go over my, like right after I use a transition shade, I'll use this one. So I absolutely love this palette. I think if you haven't purchased it and you're on the fence about it, really, I think you'll enjoy it. I think she did a really great job with it, and yeah, that's all I can say. So the next palette I'm going to mention, again, is Morphe, but I think most of us probably could guess what this is. It is the 35O palette, and I have really loved this palette up. It also has 35 eyeshadows and retails for, I believe, 22 bucks or something. And until I got the Jaclyn Hill palette, like this was like my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette. I mean, I could take this with me anywhere too, and I could create any look. It doesn't have the bright shades in it, but I really rarely use, you know, those bright colors. So I thought that this one, I mean, if you're looking for like a neutrals palette and you haven't purchased this yet, it's such a great deal. And if you didn't already know, Morphe just launched in Ulta, so you could actually purchase this one and the Jaclyn Hill palette in Ulta now, so it's, you know, a little bit more convenient than ordering online. So I love this shade right here. It's like one of my favorite all over the lid colors. Smoky, you know, super natural. This one, unfortunately, I dropped my palette and it cracked. So I have used it, you know, there's a little bit left, but I absolutely love it. This top shade too is another pretty like lid shade. These in the crease are just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, if you're pale, if you have a darker skin tone, I think this palette is gonna work for you, and you're gonna find a use for all these different colors. So if you haven't already purchased this, I would definitely try this one out. You can even try this one even before the Jaclyn Hill palette, because this one is a little bit more neutral, and it is, I believe, like $12 cheaper, but still super reasonable, and the quality is just outstanding. The next eyeshadow palette I'm going to talk about, I think a lot of these are really kind of hyped over on YouTube and they're very like well reviewed, but after I've like tried all of them, I really think that these are quality. I think you're paying for the quality, and like the Morphe ones are great for somebody that's on a budget or just wants to try out the Morphe products. But next one is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I love this palette. I think the shades are so incredibly blendable. I have already really loved this palette up, and I haven't had it that long, but I knew I have a pretty good opinion after I use an eyeshadow palette like a couple times if I'm going to like it, if I'm going to continue using it. So I love this shade. This shade, unfortunately, I dropped this one too. So this one cracked a little bit, but there's still like most of the eyeshadow there. I just think you can create an everyday look. I think you could create a super smoky kind of warm look with it, like I did on my fall makeup tutorial. So you can check that out if you haven't already seen it. And I love burnt orange. It's one of my favorite shades to use in my crease. I love the brighter colors. I think if you want to experiment with some brighter colors that, you know, are still pretty muted, like these berry tones, I think that's a really great way to go. And I believe this runs about $42. I will leave the price in the description box below, just so we have an exact number. But I love this palette. I think the shades are just super pigmented, and I think for the money, if you really want to invest in one palette, this is really a great option. My next favorite palette has a special place in my heart because it is the very first expensive eyeshadow palette that I ever purchased. I think I was in like 9th grade when this came out. It was so popular. I mean, everyone had to have it. And I remember like, you know, forking up all this money, like, oh, this is so expensive. But man, when I tried it, I mean, this is a great palette. The Naked One palette. As you can tell, mine is very well loved. This was probably the only eyeshadow palette I used for like years when I first started like playing around with makeup and, you know, my early high school years. As you can tell, I have hit pan on, let's see, 1, 2, this one's pretty much about to hit pan. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 4 shades. They're not necessarily, they're like about to hit pan. So I have gotten so much use over this palette over the years. I don't necessarily gravitate it towards it now because I have other palettes in my collection that I do like a lot. But if I had to pick like one, this is so special to me. Like it was like when I first started playing around with makeup, and I just love this palette. I think the shades are great. If you're a beginner and you're looking for like something neutral but something that you can kind of experiment with, this is a great option. I think Urban Decay makes great eyeshadows. I think the quality is there. I think this runs about 50 bucks. So, I mean, it's great, and it's like the classic, the original neutral eyeshadow palette. And last but not least is a newer favorite, but I really like these. If you saw my previous video, you saw that I reviewed and demoed the Huda Beauty Obsession palettes. I want to just include these as one since I have 2 shades, but I was just blown away by the quality in these eyeshadow palettes, and they're so reasonable. They're 27 bucks a piece. And to be completely honest, if I could take either one of these on, you know, a weekend trip, and I could create anything because I have a good shade to put all of your lid, like a matte shade. You have your lighter crease shades, and then you have your really deep shades, and you also have a shimmery gold in this one. And then I also have the Mauve Obsessions palette, which I love too. If you love like, you know, pink tones, I mean, this is just gorgeous. Again, you have you know, a white shade to put all of your lid to set your concealer or primer that you have on your eyes. You have your shimmers, you have some, you know, lighter mattes. I mean, this one is probably about the lightest one, but you could still work with it if you just took this. And I just love these. I think the quality's there. I've been like constantly using them ever since I tried these 2 in my previous video, and I've loved them even more every time I use them. All right, everyone, so those were my top 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe down below if you liked this video. And let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see. You know, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And yeah, so I think that's about it. And I will see you guys in the next video.